and welcome to Flagstaff TV. Today we are joined by Jasper Smith, who is the founder and CEO of Arksen. Jasper, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks very much for having me.
Jasper, can you start by telling us a bit more about Arksen?
Sure. Arksen's a UK-based design and engineering company. We build exceptional products for the adventure space, but primarily we build explorer vessels for both the leisure and the commercial market.
And what niche does the company fill?
Well, I think if you look at the marine sector in general, it's been very nascent and it's suffered from a lack of investment and a lack of innovation over the last sort of 15, 20 years. So we've really sought to change that by bringing in, circular economy principles into the manufacture of the vessels, bringing in hybrid propulsion, solar, bringing in huge amounts of redundancy into vessels so that they have more resilience and they can go further for longer. And that's resonated extraordinarily well with the customer groups that we've got. And then gradually what we've done is added a few other products to sit alongside those, the vessels, such as apparel and overland vehicles. And so that holistically, the brand is like a 360 adventure brand that resonates really well with the consumer groups that we target.
And what are your USPs?
Well, I think I touched on one, which is the circular economy. I think the principal one, other than the fact that the products are built to be, truly robust and to have real sort of longevity baked into them, which I think is very unusual in this sector. I think the principal one is that we built this brand profile that really resonates with a new generation of user in the marine sector. There's a sort of a real zeitgeist moment, and you look at how brands are trying to be sort of omni-product, omni-channel, and that would be very difficult to create 20 years ago. But if you look at it now, you can't really approach a brand in any other way. So I think what we're seeing from our dealer network is that they're really engaged in the idea of offering a customer a 360 experience between, the marine products that we offer, the overland products that we offer, the apparel, and then the experiences that sort of are the glue that binds all of that together. So I'd say the principal USP is really that we're a very magnetic home for adventure.
And what is the size of this market?
I mean, overall, it's about 840 billion or something. So it's a pretty huge market that looks at the adjacent industries between sort of automotive, marine, apparel. But it's a very potent opportunity, very, as I said, an enormous market. And it's really looking at how you build brand profile to have relevance in each of the sectors that we operate in. In the sort of the way social media is behaving now, gives us the opportunity to punch way above our weight. So it's hugely exciting for us.
It certainly sounds it. And what are Arksen's primary revenue streams?
So we have quite a diverse set of revenue streams, and we're sort of geographically spread, so we're not reliant on any one country or one continent. So our revenues are split sort of roughly 50-50 between Europe and America, growing market share in Saudi and UAE and places like that. But the revenue streams themselves are relatively simple. So we make margin by selling the products that we develop. We sell those products through dealer networks or direct, and we run on somewhere between a 12 and a 35% margin depending on the product. The 12% margin is a low margin, but they are on very expensive products, and so the net contribution is pretty strong to us. The direct side of the business is really interesting and sits alongside the dealer network and motivates the dealer network. So at the moment we have 8 dealers signed up in places like Japan and the US and Europe, and then we have a community of about 55,000 people engaged on social media and coming through our direct channels. And in territories where we don't have a dealer, we sell direct, but we use that direct traffic to help us build the dealer network in that territory. So our aim is to get the dealer network from about, as I said, from eight today to around 100 over the next 4 years. Each dealer makes forward order commitments to us, and those forward order commitments range from a few 100,000 a year to several million a year. So with 100 dealers, obviously the revenues scale pretty exponentially.
Now, you've just completed a Series A funding round. Where will you be deploying those funds?
So it's really split between marketing to drive brand profile in new territories, and the working capital requirements of the business to continue to fund some of the operating expenditures that we've got around R&D in particular. So yeah, principally brand, little bit of product development, and then really focusing on geographic expansion. So if you look at where the gravity is sort of moving around in terms of where pots of capital are and people are interested in this type of product, North America is pretty important to us. There's obviously a really fast-paced and growing sector in the Middle East. Europe has always been a real bulwark of the marine industry, and so that's important to us too. But it's principally America and in the Middle East that represent sort of the rapid growth markets for us.
Jasper, who are Arksen's competitors?
So if you look across the piece that we operate within, you can look at competitor groups from the sort of large vessel manufacturers such as Nordhaven or Fleming or Bering, people like that, all the way through to smaller companies like Exo and Axopar and Saxador and things like that. I think what makes this completely unique is that our product range starts with 50-meter vessels, which are extraordinary pieces of machinery, and comes all the way down to 6-meter ribs. And that product expanse is made possible because of our strategy to not manufacture products ourselves. So we design the intellectual property, own the intellectual property. We own all the specifications and the designs that go with those. But then we outsource manufacturing. And the advantage of that approach is, A, it's very light from a capital perspective. But B, it means that we can have a broad enough product range to establish our brand in a market that normally takes sort of multiple years to develop, brand profiling. And that strategy has paid, huge dividends for us over the last sort of, 18, 24 months with, lots of new products being established, new markets being established, new dealers being established, revenues growing. So I think it's that sort of spread of product that gives us a pretty unique position in the market. And then I think adding to that, the fact that we've got an apparel line and the overland line gives us these on-ramps into the brand, all developed in within the boundaries of a circular economy. But it gives us these on-ramps that are very, very cost effective for us. And I think, look, anybody who loves adventure, anyone who wants to go off and explore, they're as interested in exploring on the ocean as they are on land. And wherever they are, they need garments to wear to enjoy that experience. And so I go back to this sort of 360 brand profile that we're trying to create, and how well that's resonating with the audiences that we're engaged with.
Jasper, finally for today, what are the exit opportunities for a brand like this?
Well, I think that you look at all of the large public companies that are trading in the marine or luxury goods sector, and I think each of those represents quite an interesting opportunity. So you could look at the largest of those companies like Brunswick and things like that, who are very acquisitive in their growth strategy. So I think what Arksen needs to do over the next few years is deliver on the dealer network, delivering sort of 150 million of recurring revenue annually. And at that point, I think it becomes very attractive either to as I said, the large marine companies that we just talked about, or to a whole raft of players that are in the luxury goods market. And we've had, quite a lot of interest from strategic investors who are in the sector already. And what they seem to be really attracted to is the sort of pace of growth, the fact that the products that we develop are really differentiated from what's in the market, and the fact there's this sort of zeitgeist moment when this new generation of explorer, if you like, that's coming into the market is looking for something that's very different from what's gone before. So I think whether it's a trade sale or whether we decide to go all the way and do an IPO, I think remains to be seen. We've just done this first round, and that's really that's the first time we've invited retail investors into the mix, and that's really our sort of first taste of acting like a public company.
Jasper, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks very much. Great to talk to you.
And thank you for watching Flagstaff TV.